In their content, ATEEZ maintains a central theme of opposites up and down, hot and cold, day and night, awake and asleep, etc., with special emphasis being placed on things that combine two opposites into one, or things that act as transitions between two opposites. So, for example, twilight, which is both day and night at the same time. Twilight is where day and night intermix, the point where they come together, as well as the transition between day and night. And one of the ways I think this core theme is implemented in ATEEZ's lyrics is through words or phrases that have double meaning, two different things that combine as one. And there's a lot of ATEEZ lyrics with double meaning. I'm going to go over all the ones I could find, but I'm sure there are some I'm missing, so if you can think of any, let me know in the comments. I also already talked about the double meaning of the world, wake up world, change the world, and the end of the world in this video, as well as movement, which in the comments of that video, Nocturne Song pointed out to me a third meaning of movement being a specific section of a musical composition. First up is any lyric about time. ATEEZ actually never mentions the chromer in their lyrics, so any lyric that is about time is a lyric about the chromer, right? The chromer is an hourglass. It is time itself. Some cool ones to highlight, I think, are Time's Up, which is from Treasure. On the surface, this is a lyric about the end, about time running out, but this is also a reference to the sand inside the chromer flowing upwards, time literally going up. Up is down. Time Flies from Rocky could be time going by quickly while you're focused on something, or flipping over the chromer to travel between worlds, and ATEEZ flying to travel between the worlds. Taking Our Time from Pirate King could be ATEEZ going slowly, being patient, or them literally taking time when they steal the chromer. The passing of time talked about in the diary entries could be simply that, time passing, life going on, or it can be the handing over of the chromer from the man in the black fedora to Hongjun. I do think it's possible that ATEEZ present has double meaning. It could be ATEEZ is here, they are present, which is also kind of interesting because present would be something you would say in class if like a teacher was taking attendance. Then there is a time definition of present, as in past, present, and future. And there's a third meaning, which could be present as a gift. Maybe presents are supposed to be like a type of treasure. I don't know. I think it's mostly these first two. Another lyric about the chromer, which is pretty similar to Change the World, is Turn Over the World. This can be interpreted as digging up the ground while searching for buried treasure, or flipping the chromer upside down, which changes what world ATEEZ is in. This could also be a reference to Earth's rotation, the world turning around, turning over, which is what causes the change in day and night. The title of The Real, as well as a lot of lyrics in this song that mention this word, I think have double meaning. So something like Real Recognize Real could be a lyric about acknowledging someone's authenticity, their coolness, their ability to genuinely be themselves, but is also a lyric that goes along with ATEEZ's whole theme of reality versus illusion. In their storyline, ATEEZ struggles to recognize what is real and what is not. Falling is a word that is used pretty damn frequently in ATEEZ lyrics, and depending on the context of the lyric, it can have double meaning. The first meaning is to fall downwards, to drop, to stumble. And I think falling is particularly notable in ATEEZ content in the way it is contrasted with rising or flying. Flying and falling are basically the exact same thing, but in opposite directions, up versus down. But another meaning of falling would be to fall asleep. This is all kind of tied to Alice in Wonderland. In the book, Wonderland is a dream, and Alice falling down the rabbit hole is her falling asleep. To travel to the opposite world, ATEEZ has to fall asleep, or maybe fly asleep. It changes based on your perspective. Up is down. This is also like a Lord of the Flies thing, but I don't have time to talk about that right now, so moving on. Open Your Eyes, the lyric from Crescent that I refuse to shut up about because it's a very big deal, okay? Understand, I do not run a theory YouTube channel. This is a Crescent stan account. But this lyric also shows up in Utopia, Illusion, Thank You, Beginning of the End, Star 1117, Good Little Boy, Rocky, Sector 1, Gorilla, The Ring, New World, as well as in their performance of Rhythm Ta on Kingdom and the Fever 1 diary entries. And it has double meaning. Open Your Eyes can be you opening your eyes when you wake up from being asleep, or open your eyes can also refer to having the truth revealed to you. If something is eye-opening, it is enlightening. Eyes in the sky is a very intriguing phrase that could be a bunch of things. It could be this idea of surveillance, that you are being watched by government cameras, very Big Brother-esque. This phrase could be an instruction from ATEEZ to look up at the sky, I also think this could be a play on the word I, where you could read this as I am in the sky. I don't know. I have yet to have any solid ideas about what this is supposed to mean and why it matters so much. Maybe a future piece of content will provide us with some insight, but I probably just need to think about it some more. Next is the Let Us Go lyric, which is repeated all throughout Utopia, where you have the Utopia version of, wow, this place is so cool and beautiful and awesome, I really want to go there, versus the Dystopia version of, this is a prison, I am trapped here, we cannot leave, a plea for help, an SOS message to let us go. The ring in the ATEEZ song The Ring is clearly meant to be a ring as in the type of jewelry you wear on your hand, the end of that song having a very overt reference to Lord of the Rings. And the ring in this context is a stand-in for treasure. A ring could also be the sound a phone makes. It could be a group of people arranged in a circle, or just circles in general. And Holomingy1117 on Twitter pointed out to me that it could also be a boxing ring. Inception, by definition, is just the beginning. The start of something is its inception, but it's also a reference to the 2010 movie Inception. Fever is a very meaning-dense word when it comes to ATEEZ. For starters, a fever is just an elevated body temperature, which goes along with all the hot versus cold stuff for ATEEZ. This type of a fever is something you experience if you are sick, and it is frequently accompanied by symptoms like shaking or sweating. And I personally consider fever to not actually be about being sick, but rather used as a metaphor for ATEEZ to talk about fear, and this fear is visually portrayed in their content as bad weather. And I explain all of this in great detail in my video about the weather. So a lyric like I'm sick and tired has double meaning as a result of all this, where it can be ATEEZ being fed up with authority figures telling them what to do, but other people's negative words also infect ATEEZ with this fever, this sickness. It makes them afraid to pursue their dreams. The entire song of Better is built on this same double meaning. ATEEZ is getting better, they are improving, they are growing, they are learning, or if you recover from being sick, you get better. There's another subset of this particular meaning of fever, which is fever dreams being a specific symptom of having a fever. Fever dreams are intense, vivid, often frightening or disorienting dreams, a dream in which you are not sure if what you're experiencing is a dream or reality, which is frequently the case for ATEEZ in their storyline, where they don't know if their experiences take place in an illusion or not. And a second meaning of fever is that fever is a state of nervous excitement, an escalation of frenzied anticipation felt by a passionate group of people. Aurora is most recognizably meant to refer to the northern or southern polar lights. Now, I have done an embarrassingly large amount of research on auroras. They're caused by solar winds penetrating Earth's magnetic field. Charged particles pass through the layers of Earth's atmosphere and mix with various gases to produce the different colors. Green is the most common, but they can actually be any color. And there's some fascinating commonality, I think, in the way that auroras, mirages, and prisms all work. So pin that somewhere in your brain. And the aurora is used as a metaphor for ATEEZ to talk about the lights from their fans that they see from the stage. But the aurora, the phenomenon that occurs in the sky, is originally named after the Roman goddess Aurora. Her name comes from the Latin word for dawn, or sunrise. And dawn itself has several meanings. I'm just saying. In Roman mythology, at the beginning of each day, Aurora flies across the sky to announce the arrival of the sun. And if you don't think that's rad as hell, I don't know what to tell you. Aurora is also the name of the main character in Sleeping Beauty, which ties into all of ATEEZ's awake and asleep stuff, and the main musical piece in Sleeping Beauty is Once Upon a Dream, which is a song about meeting someone in a dream and then meeting them later on in reality. The overall point being that Prince Philip is the man of her dreams, which is something that's very applicable to ATEEZ as well. And Aurora also has like a dress that changes between red and blue and like a magical forest. I don't know, maybe this is a thing. The Make a Move lyric from Gorilla probably has double meaning. Now, the reason why I think this is sort of hard to explain, so let me just say a sentence at you and hopefully it makes sense. If treasure is a journey and fever is a road, then the world is a game. Basically, I think there are several different metaphors that are utilized to talk about the journey. So I'm expecting this idea of the game to pop up consistently as a theme of this series, in the same way that roads showed up throughout Fever. And I think we might get some references to different video games or board games. Jumanji is the most likely one since ATEEZ played it for a whole season of Fever Road, and there's already a ton of connections between Jumanji and their storyline, but I'll give you the SparkNotes version. In the book, two children, Peter and Judy, play an enchanted board game called Jumanji. As they play, the things that occur in the game wind up actually happening inside the house, causing increasingly more chaos. They finally finish the game and their parents come home. Judy and Peter tell them about all the shit that just went down, and the adults dismiss them, saying that it was all just a dream, specifically referring to it as sleeping sickness. So, that checks a lot of boxes. Anyways, Make a Move could be a lyric about moving your piece while playing the game. It could be a strategic military action in a war. It could be an action you take when you're romantically interested in someone, or it could be a lyric about dancing. Make It Rain, Make a Wave is probably my favorite lyric from the World Movement, and it shows up in both Sector 1 and The Ring. Starting with Make It Rain, you have a very literal interpretation of rain, as in water that falls from the sky. While in Fever, the weather was the symbol of their fear, in the world, ATEEZ has overcome that fear, and now they control the weather and they can make it rain. Then there is a military interpretation of this, where Make It Rain or Bring the Rain is slang for dropping bombs. And this definition itself could be either releasing ammunition or saying something impactful, which is basically exactly what we see in the Gorilla music video when they release the flyers, because art is ATEEZ's weapon. Their words are their ammunition. And a third interpretation of Make It Rain is throwing money. Since gold or money can be seen as a type of treasure, then once finding their treasure, ATEEZ is so rich they can make it rain. Then we have the companion lyric Make a Wave, which implies waves, as in the water in the ocean, which goes along with all the water cycle stuff I talk about in this video, essentially rain falling and becoming the waves of the ocean. And you additionally have the gravitational pull of the moon, which causes high and low tides on Earth, so the moon makes waves. But Make a Wave is also something fans do at a concert. By throwing their arms up in the air, ATEEZ and ATINY make a wave. Another meaning is a reference to the ATEEZ song Wave. ATEEZ has made a wave. They made the song Wave. Similarly, waves in this context could be sound waves, so since ATEEZ makes music, they make waves. And another meaning could be that ATEEZ is making waves. They're causing a disturbance, having some kind of influence on people. Either ATEEZ themselves making waves in the music industry, or in their storyline where they rebel against the government, causing quite the disturbance in Strickland. Again, the turbulence that was so incapacitating in Fever is now something they've embraced, something they control. Overall, this lyric showcases a thematic shift between the narrative of the Fever series compared to the world, where they have finally recovered and overcome their fever, and now ATEEZ are empowered to change the world. Their fear is something they have power over, not something that has power over them. I think Rocky is probably one of the most interesting songs in music videos when it comes to double meanings, because the fundamental way you interpret this whole song all hinges on the double meaning of a single word. Hook, which is used in Rocky along with the entirety of the boxing concept to mean punch. I, however, see this song as a very creative and clever play on Captain Hook, because pirates. If Rocky is this famous champion, the best boxer ever who wins everything, then doesn't that make him Captain Hook? With this context, even something like Hungjin's opening lyric, "Yes, I'm Rocky, feel like I'm Rocky," takes on a whole new meaning. There's also a third meaning of hook, which is hook being the catchy part of a song. This, along with Mingy's line, "Let's start the second round," being the start of the second verse, shows how the structure of a boxing match is being used as a metaphor for the structure of a song. The Leaders is yet another song where, in my opinion, the entire song has double meaning, but it's executed in a different way than Rocky. I discussed this at length with Vanessa RL in a comment thread on my second ATEEZ Color Theory video. Vanessa basically argued that I was wrong about a lot of the things I say about the Leaders in that video, and to their credit, I was wrong. But what I eventually realized is that neither of us had misinterpreted the song, there are just two completely opposite ways you can interpret the song. The first way is that the Leaders are ATEEZ. They're the rebellion leading the youth to take over this new world, to disrupt the establishment. And the second way to interpret the song is that the Leaders are the established regime, the government of Strickland, grown-ups in general, anyone who acts as an authority figure, and anyone who is the cause of fever or fear. Who you consider to be the leaders changes the meaning of every single lyric in this song. So, put your hands up could be a tease telling you to celebrate and put your hands up during a concert, or it could be a police officer, an authority figure arresting you, or maybe a teacher telling you to be quiet and to raise your hand to speak. Black suit and tie could be the outfits we see holoties wear, or it could be the suits and ties worn by adults, by businessmen, and government workers. The armbands on right arm could be the armband Hongjun wears, or it could be the armbands worn by politicians and by dictators. Lead every day, every night could be a tease leading the rebellion, traveling between the two worlds and using the chromer to change day and night, or it could be the adults in power who are constantly in control all day and all night and refuse to give up that control. The whole song is a battleground, a power struggle over who gets to be the leaders. It's a microcosm of the whole story of Fever, the youth versus adults, a tease versus their oppressors. And the interesting point I think this all brings up is that ATs are so close to becoming the very thing they are fighting against, to the point that the propaganda spouted by both sides is exactly the same. When does the rebellion just become another regime? How does ATs prevent themselves from becoming the new source of fever? Are ATs just the next authority figures to wield their influence over the youth? If the beginning is the end, what makes ATs different from Z? Just something to think about. The next few words I'm going to go over very briefly because I'm planning on making a video at some point that explains these things in depth with like a bajillion pieces of evidence. Dreams can be dreams you have while you're asleep, or they can be dreams you have while you're awake. Your goals, your ambitions, whoever it is you want to be when you grow up, that is your dream. Star can refer to stars in the night sky, or it can be being famous, being a performer, being on stage. You're a star. Fire can be, like actual fire, or it can be your passion, your fierceness, your excitement, if you are fiery or if you are fired up. Treasure can be the noun definition, buried treasure that you are searching for, gold or jewels or something like that, material things that you desire, or there is a verb definition of treasure as in something that you love dearly and tenderly care for. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video and I will see you next time.